What is going on, everyone? Hootmoney here with another video for you guys today. Today, we're going to be talking about Vinco Ventures, Bbig, and the CRYPTYDE or TYDE dividend spinoff. We'll be talking about the share price of TYDE, what to expect over the next 2 weeks, as well as important dates so you guys can maximize the returns on your investments in Bbig. It has finally come. Indoor sunglasses engaged. Let's get on with the video. If you guys want to check out Hootmoney trade alerts, we've been absolutely bagging up. I'll show you guys some of the profits that we have made on the screen right now. If you guys wanted to join Hootmoney trade alerts, it's the first link in the description down below. My account's up 400% in literally a week, so check that out. But with that being said, let's get right into today's video. All right, my friends, so we're going to be going over 3 dates first and foremost, which is the record date, the ex-dividend date, and then the last date to buy CRYPTYDE. So the record date, as mentioned in this press release, Vinco sets record date and distribution date for planned business separation of CRYPTYDE. The record date is the important one. The distribution date is a little bit less important. So looking at the record date, that's on May 18th, 2022. You need to have your shares on record as of this date. Now, understand, the stock market is a slow dinosaur. It doesn't settle your stock purchases right away. It takes 2 days to settle your stock purchase. So if you buy on the record date, you will not receive CRYPTYDE because your order doesn't settle for another 2 days. So if you want to have CRYPTYDE shares, you need to be purchasing this stock by May 16th, which is 2 days before CRYPTYDE. So the last day to buy for CRYPTYDE is at 8 p.m. So the after hours close on May 16th, 2022. There's another date right here, which is the ex-dividend date. That's at 4 a.m. Eastern time, directly after the last date to buy TYDE on May 17th, 2022. So if you buy your shares of Bbig after May 17th, 2022 at 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will no longer be receiving TYDE shares. So again, to make this all clear to everyone, if you want to receive TYDE shares, you must purchase Bbig before 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, after hours close on Monday, May 16th, which is roughly 8 days from today. The next thing I'm going to go over is the price of CRYPTYDE or TYDE shares once it starts publicly trading on the stock market. So this is likely going to be equal to the price of Bbig at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, after hours close, May 16th, 2022, aka the last date to buy CRYPTYDE. So this date right here that we're going over, we take the price of Bbig at 8 p.m. that day, and then we subtract it from what the price is at the ex-dividend date at 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or pre-market open on May 17th, 2022. So between the after hours close on May 16th and the after hours or the pre-market open on May 17th, we subtract the after hours close from the pre-market open, and that can give us the best estimate of what TYDE will be trading at once it is distributed, because what CRYPTYDE is a spin-off of Bbig. So after you're no longer able to buy CRYPTYDE, that technically means that the value of CRYPTYDE is no longer going to be seen in Bbig's stock price. So the next day at market open, there should be a hefty sell-off in Bbig, as you no longer need to own it to get TYDE shares. So what that means is that whatever the market decides the difference is between the night before, which was 8 p.m. Eastern Time on May 16th, and then pre-market open, whatever difference the market decides in the share price on those 2 time periods should technically be what CRYPTYDE trades for. But you also have to remember that 10 is the distribution ratio. So if you get 10 shares of Bbig, you get 1 share of CRYPTYDE. So whatever the difference is between those 2 dates, so let's just say today. It was $12 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on May 16th, and then $8 at 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on May 17th. And in this case specifically, the difference in share price was about $4, 12 minus 8, and you multiply that by the distribution ratio, which is 10, which would give you an estimated share price of $40 for CRYPTYDE or TYDE. Now, I just wanted to highlight the fact that in reality, TYDE is worth whatever investors pay for it. And I've seen multiple times in the crypto markets, there's these things called airdrops, where essentially if you do something in crypto, it all gets marked on the blockchain, it recognizes that, it makes you eligible for an airdrop, which is very similar to a spinoff in the stock market. So let's just say you own a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, and Bored Ape Yacht Club decides to release their own cryptocurrency and distribute it to the holders. So let's just say if you own a Bored Ape Yacht Club, you get 100 ape coins for owning that NFT. Very similar to a spinoff, right? Because you own BBIG stock, you get TYDE shares. Same thing here. You own a Bored Ape Yacht Club, you get ape coin. So in crypto, we see this play out and we see these airdrops happen, and we know for a fact that Bored Ape Yacht Club did not decrease in value as a result of launching something like ape coin. In theory, yes, the value should have been extracted out of Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs once the ape coin was distributed, but the market will be paying whatever price they determine for ape coin, which I don't think has any intrinsic value. I mean, it's just a token like any other cryptocurrency, but the market decides that it's worth $11.66. So it'll be the exact same thing with CRYPTYDE. Understand, it's whatever the market pays for it. What I formulated right here as the price of CRYPTYDE is just the theory behind it, but theory doesn't always work out the same way in practice, so expect anything and understand that the market pays whatever the market wants. I'd like to quickly thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Moomoo, a licensed FINRA broker that does absolutely zero payment for order flow. They're running a promotion right now where you receive up to $7,000 in free stock as long as you deposit $1 on their platform. It's the best brokerage promotion by far. Right now, they're giving the double probability to get a Facebook stock. They also give free real-time level 2 data for US stocks, which other brokerages don't do that. So get your 2 free stocks on Hootmoney. The links are below in the description or pinned comment section. But with that being said, let's get right back into the video. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is institutional calls, because as you guys know, a few weeks ago, we saw a lot of institutions load the F up on May 6th, $3 call options. And as you guys can see, literally the day before May 6th, BBIG absolutely rocketed in share price and went way out of the money to in the money at $3.25, making all of those call options absolutely print buckets. Now, do institutions buy these call options because they want to make a 300% gain off of insider trading? Yes, but they don't just do it because they want to make gains. They do it because they're hedging. They're hedging against potential losses. How do you lose money if a stock goes up? It's because you're short on the stock. So they knew a catalyst was coming. They have a hefty short position. They buy call options to hedge their risk and essentially receive the gains on top of whatever losses they'd have as a short seller. It's called a hedging strategy. So when we're looking at these institutional call options, we want to be looking at them in terms of what they could be doing to hedge right now. So what we did see on May 6th is we got more action here on the institutional call options, or put options, might I say. And in fact, we saw very heavy amounts of premium being spent on put options, more so than the call options that they used in the first place to hedge. The put options right here, $703,000 worth of premium for a 520 put and a $5 strike price. Right here is a $3.50 put option expiring next Friday on May 15th for $70,000 worth of premium. Right here, $164,000 worth of premium roughly for another put option, $5 strike price expiring on May 27th right there. Here we saw even more, $35,000 right here, $427,000 worth of premium purchase on a May 20th, 2022 $5 put option. So why the heck does this happen? Why is there so much premium being spent on these put options right before the biggest catalyst BBIG has ever seen, which is this CRYPTYDE spinoff. It's because of what I explained to you guys right here. There is likely going to be a price drop once that ex-dividend date does hit. So at 4 a.m. Eastern time on May 17th, 2022, which aligns right here with this 5/20/2022 expiration, BBIG's stock price will be falling. And that's just a fact. If you don't believe that's going to happen, then you're delusional, because if you no longer can receive TYDE shares once this date hits, why, like, there's going to be so much reason to sell. There's going to be so much reason to fundamentally sell the stock of BBIG, and we know that this move was a fundamental move in the first place. So why would there not be another fundamental move to the downside once that fundamental negative catalyst does hit for BBIG? And that's exactly why institutions are hedging this if they are long on BBIG. And notice how this is in a lot more premium. So we know institutions have been loading up on BBIG, and when they're hedging the downside risk, which we saw over here, it was in less premium overall. So institutions are likely more long than short on BBIG right now, and we can see that because they're hedging this downside risk more than they're hedging the upside risk. So seeing these put options is actually kind of bullish, because we know that institutions are overall more long on this stock than they are short. And as we go into the institutional owners right here, you guys can see, pulling up this chart, institutions have been accumulating BBIG over the past year or so in anticipation for what we're seeing exactly happening right now. So there's a few different ways that you guys can play this. Obviously, you can hold through the dividend, get your TYDE shares, and in theory, it should be a net zero game. You should not be losing value or gaining value from holding through the dividend. But we have noticed when these hyped up airdrops happen in cryptocurrency, which again, very different than the stock market, it had led to almost a free money type situation, because there's just so much demand surrounding the airdrop, or in this case would be the TYDE spinoff. So holding through the record date can definitely put you guys in a free money type situation. However, there are other ways to play this. So obviously, using the theory that no value is being created or destroyed by the spinoff, which I don't necessarily think it's true. I mean, there is probably somewhat of a free money type situation just looking at the cryptocurrency case study, but in theory, it's likely to not create or destroy any value. So you could technically sell your BBIG stock on the last day to buy for TYDE. So in after hours, 8 p.m. before the market closes. The only reason I do this strategy on the last date to buy TYDE is if you think BBIG and TYDE are both going to be going down significantly after this spinoff completes. Because remember, a spinoff is tax free. So if you're selling on the last date to buy TYDE, you are going to have to pay taxes on those gains. I don't know if they're short term. I don't know if they're long term. And for the most part, they're probably short term to capital gains. So it's definitely not the smartest thing to do if you think value is going to be created from this transaction, or a free money situation is going to be happening, similar to how crypto airdrops have played out in the past. Because again, TYDE is a tax-free spinoff. You don't pay taxes on the TYDE shares that you receive. But again, if you were to sell on the last day before TYDE, you will be having to pay taxes on those gains. So I definitely think, unless you want to time the market like an absolute professional, which requires a hefty amount of skill, for the most part, most people are going to be rewarded the most by just doing the free money type situation, holding through the ex-dividend date, holding through the spinoff, and then you'll get your TYDE shares, and the market will decide whatever those TYDE shares are worth. And there's probably going to be a decent amount of hype around the TYDE launch. It's going to be a much lower float, and it's going to have the same percentage of short interest as BBIG. So CRYPTYDE can definitely get interesting. And again, it's going to be tax free if you just hold on through it through the spinoff. So I think that might be the best way to go. The third way to play this that I suspect a lot of people will be doing is that they are going to be holding through the last date to buy TYDE, but be selling their BBIG shares on the ex-dividend date, which is pre-market open on May 17th. And the reason I suspect people to do this is because it's the fundamental reason, right? You hold through the last date to buy for TYDE into the ex-dividend date. You get your TYDE shares. Now, your BBIG shares don't get you TYDE shares anymore, so you might in fact decide to sell them, right? And that's what typically does happen after spinoffs on the ex-dividend date. That's what a lot of people do decide to do. So the first strategy and the simplest is to simply just hold BBIG through the spinoff, through the distribution date. The second strategy is to sell on the last day to buy for TYDE shares, or May 16th, because you believe that BBIG and TYDE will both be seeing a decline in value. And the third strategy is to hold through the ex-dividend date. So you have to be holding your shares to at least 4 a.m. May 17th, pre-market open, and you can sell that day because, well, your BBIG shares no longer entitle you to a TYDE share. And the fundamental case would be, well, now that I don't have that, BBIG shares aren't worth as much, so I will be selling my BBIG shares. So you guys can do whatever you guys want with this information. You can buy, sell, or hold, but I thought it would be important to outline this to you guys so there is more clarity and less uncertainty regarding this TYDE spinoff. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Drop a like on it if you guys did. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. All future updates for BBIG are obviously going to be posted here on this channel, so definitely subscribe to the channel if you guys are interested in BBIG content. Also, if y'all wanted to check out Hootmoney trade alerts, we've been absolutely bagging up. There's people vouching for me in my Discord server. It's the first link below in the description. I mean, your trade alerts subscription will likely be paid off very quickly. Obviously, it's not financial advice, just to cover my butt, but we have been doing very well. So that's the first link in the description down below. And with all that being said, roll TYDE. I'll be seeing you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.